This is just a review problem, okay? What we are only doing a couple review problems and we're learning something, okay? Mostly because Jesse's the only person who did his homework. So what do we do to get x by itself? Yep. From both sides of the inequality, then we have 5x is greater than or equal to 15. Then what? Divide by 5 on both sides. We're just solving an equation. It's like solving a regular equation. There's just an inequality there. It just changes how you write your answer. So then we have x is greater than or equal to 3. If we were asked to graph it, which I told you last week, this it's not going to ask you to graph these ones on Alex, so on your test that's on Friday. How do you graph this? I draw a number line, put 3 in the middle, 2 and 4. What kind of point? Close circle on 3. Squiggly line going to the right, because that's the way this is pointing. Like if I turn this into an arrow, which way would it look? Does that make sense? Katie. Okay, what about this guy? 4 parentheses 2x minus 3, close your parentheses, is less than 12. We're just going to solve this one. We're not going to graph it. We're just going to solve it. What are we going to do first? Shh. Huh? How we can get rid of the parentheses? Yep. So what's that called? That's true, but what's that called? Distributing. It is called multiplying, but it has a specific name. Connor, leave him alone. 4 times 2x is 8x. 4 times negative 3, negative 12. Keep the rest of it. Minus is less than negative and less than 12. Now what do we do? Yeah, because it already says minus 12, so we're going to add 12 to both sides. 8x, bring down my sign, is less than 24. This is pure coincidence. I made this up, but this makes a whole number. What do we do? What's 24 divided by 8? It's also coincidence that there was the same number on top and the bottom. I made them up. Isn't that crazy? You subtracted 12 instead of added 12? Oh, yeah, no, that'll give you a different answer. That'll give you 0. Okay, and then the only way it gets a little harder is when there's variables on both sides. Okay, so I'm going to write the problem underneath it just so I have more room. How about 2 parentheses, x minus 5, close your parentheses, plus 3 is greater than negative 3 parentheses 2x plus 1, close your parentheses. It's a little crooked. What are we going to do separately? Once at a time. Look at this side. What should we do to this side of the inequality, CJ? Yes. Do it instead of playing with whatever you're playing with. So 2 times x is 2 times negative 5. What do I do with this plus 3? Just write it down. Yep, add it on. Bring down my inequality sign. What are we going to do on this side? Same thing, just distribute something else. Negative 3 times 2x. Negative 6x. Negative 3 and 1. Negative 3. There's technically a correct answer, but there's multiple things you can do. What should we do next? Take that off your head. I would combine like terms on the same side. So always look to the left side first. Are there anything on this side here together that can be combined together? The 10 and the 3, are they like terms? Neither of them have variables, right? So they're both like terms. Whatever it says you do. So you're going to take negative 10 plus 3. You're going to literally type that into your calculator. When they're on the same side, you do the same sign. So you literally type in negative 10 plus 3. So I'm going to bring 2x down because I didn't use it. Minus 7. Now there's no like terms over here. Negative 6x minus 3. When I have variables on both sides and whole numbers on both sides, what should I move first? Ooh, no. You're going to move the variables first. Which variable am I going to move? Negative 6x. I'm going to take it and move it over here by doing what? Yep, so add 6x only to the x's. They cancel out over here. 6x and 2x. Bring down my minus 7. Now it's just like those two problems. What do we do next? Yep, plus 7 to both sides. What's negative 3 plus 7? What do I do to get x by itself? This is still not a bad number. What is 4 divided by 8? I wouldn't take that answer. 1/2. Fractions. What if that 8 would have been negative? Well, not about the answer, you turds. Put the mask on the face. Yeah, remember when you divide or multiply by negative, you have to switch your sign. So if that 8 would have been negative, we would have had to switch this sign. That is what we did. Remember, all of you went up there like 2 or 3 times to the board. That's all we did last week. Over and over and over again. Until we couldn't do it anymore. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're still going to take this thought process. It won't be as hard as this. They'll mostly be easy, like number 1. There will be really no inequality signs. No, not inequality signs. There'll be no parentheses. Okay, and we are going to do 5.4. So that's the next section. The title is Solving Compound Inequalities. A compound inequality is when 2 inequalities are graphed on the same line. There are 2 types. I'll teach you both of them. The first kind are called and inequalities. That's its title, and inequalities. And inequalities always connect. Oh man. So that means we're going to have two different points, right? Like one can be open, one can be closed. They could both be open. It could be all different kinds of things. Okay? And you're just going to connect one to the other. The graph will always look like this. Now the points will be different. The points can be open or closed, but the line will always connect them. For your answer, this one's a little different. You're going to put your small number or your smaller number, right? So if we had 2 and 6, we'd put 2 there. Then you're always going to have your inequality pointing towards your smaller number, whether or not it's an equal to sign again is a different story. Then you're going to have your variable. So I'm going to put x there. Then you're going to have an inequality again. And then you're going to have your larger number. This is how we write our answers, and I'm going to do it with you. I'll show you. This shows you a number, x, a number. A number is a point, x is in between a number. That's what the picture looks like. I'm going to show you some where we don't even do the math. We just graph them. So if we have this, -2 is less than or equal to x, which is less than, different line, 5. This is an and inequality. Look at x. It's in the middle. Is x completely by itself? That means we can graph it when there's no numbers around it in between the signs. So we're going to graph it. We're just going to practice reading it. Now, normally, we put 3 numbers, don't we? Put 3 little tallies. And before, we only had one answer. Now, how many answers do we have? How many numbers are in our answer? So before, a number went in the middle. Now, what do you think we're going to do with our numbers? Yeah, we're going to put on the outsides. You see how the smaller one's on the left? And put the smaller one on the left. Larger one on the right. Larger one on the right. I would put any number you want in the middle. Since one's negative, one positive, I'm just going to put the number 0. I'm not going to try to be fancy about it. But you have to make sure you pick a number that's in between them. Now, this is how I do this. The number 2, look at the answer, the inequality answer. Look at the sign closest to it. Does that mean an open or closed circle? So I'm going to put a closed circle, because it's right next to it, on the -2. Because it's right next to that guy. Now looking at the 5, where's the inequality closest to it? Right next to it. What kind of circle does that make? Open. So that guy's going to get an open. So they see how they're different? They can be different. Now, these are all connected. You see how it goes from x is 2 is connected to that, to that. What's our picture supposed to look like? Supposed to be connected? So I'm just going to draw a wiggly line so Mr. Nolan can see it from one to another. No arrows. It's just one dot to another is connected. Because it means this number and that number, both of them together. Does that kind of make sense? Okay, we're going to try one just like that, but maybe we have to get x by itself first. Okay? So -2 is less than or equal to x minus 3, which is less than or equal to 4. Hold on. Let everybody write down. Write it all down, and then we'll talk. Keep writing crooked. Emily, see, it's not just you. I write crooked all the time. Without any lines. So in this one, with the x, is the x completely by itself in between the two signs? No, what's with the x, Jesse? -3, right? -3 really means -3. So if this was just a normal equation, how would we get x by itself? Huh? Move the 3 by doing what? We would add it to both sides, but now how many different sides do we have? We have an outside, 2 sides, and inside. So what you're going to do is you're going to add 3 to the 3. You're going to add 3 to the -2 and the 4. So you have to add 3 to all 3 sides. So you're still solving it. It just has an extra adding. So -2 plus 3. Maybe, but highly unlikely. What happens in the middle? Those 3's cancel out. What's the only thing left there? X, that's what we want. Then we have our sign. What's 4 plus 3? Now, does that look just like our last one? Can we try graphing it now? Okay, let's graph it. This time, our inequality signs are the same, so they're both closed circles. Oh, this is getting even more crooked. Woo. I'm just going to pick 4. Sounds like a good number. Since it's an and, we're going to connect them. Does that make sense? That's not so bad. Derek asked us, which is a good question. He asked, like, is there ever going to be like a lot of stuff we have to do? At most, there will be 2 steps. It would be like where you have to add 3 and then maybe divide by a number. It would be only 2 steps on the inside. Not a lot going on. Okay. Now, and these ones were already ready for us. We're going to try one. Whether or not we're going to do it like this first, where we don't have to do the math, just so you can see it. So now, if it says this, x is greater than 2, I keep picking that number, and they wrote the word and, x is less than 9. So, we write this down. Do we have 2 separate inequalities now this time? But we want our answer to look like one big one, don't we? So before we write our answer, we have to look, is our x by itself in both of these? Okay, now we just need to turn this into one of these. So that's why we look at this. It says smaller number. So which one of those 2 is a smaller number? 2. So I'm going to write 2 first. And it says make your inequality always point towards the left. So I'm going to make it point towards the left. All you have to decide is, does this 2, with this inequality, does it have an equal to line underneath it? No, so this one doesn't get it. Then in my answers, what goes in the middle? Or whatever variable they give us. Yep, x. What comes next? Another inequality pointing the same way. Does that one need an equal to line underneath it based on the 9? Nope, that's okay. And then it says the larger number. So 9. Now, is it in the and form we like? Now, can we graph it? Okay. So try graphing it, and then next we'll solve one where we have to do the math and then do this. Just keep practicing. Okay, how about 5? Remember, ands, the pictures always look the same. The only difference is the open and closed circles. That not so bad? You just gotta look at it. See, it says the word and from us. That's how we know it's an and. The other one, the word's or, and it'll literally say the word or. That's how you know the difference between them. Okay, let's try one of these where we actually have to do the math, okay? And you know what they're going to do? They're going to change the variable on us. Now it's going to be a y. So how about y minus 3 is greater than or equal to negative 11, and y minus 3 is less than or equal to negative 8. So once you write those down, we're going to solve one at a time. So once you're at the, ignore that second one. How do you get this one to get the variable by itself? Yep, add 3 to both sides. So let's do that and find its answer. Those 3's cancel out. We get y is greater than or equal to, what's negative 11 plus 3? Negative 8. Okay. I'm going to symbolize and. Save me some space. Because you want to keep your words. You know what it is. Now over here on this one, what do we do to get y by itself? Add 3 again, okay? They're not always the same. This one just happens to be. This time, what's that answer? Negative 5. Now, is this answer written the way we want it to be? Think about how you want your answer to be written. No, we want it to be all one big answer. Aiden, see this? Does that look just like this? No, because this is how we want our answer. This is how our answer is written. So we look at our two numbers. Which one is technically smaller, negative 8 or negative 5, to be out $8 or to be only out $5? So we put the smaller of the numbers on the left. Where does the inequality always point? To the left. Is this one going to have a line underneath it? Does the 8 one have a line underneath it? Yep, so we need to put a line underneath that one. Next it says x, but did we use x in our equation? No, we used y, so we're going to have to put y. Again, my inequality always points towards the left. Does that one need a line underneath it? Yes, for the other number, it does. And then we write our bigger number. Negative 5. Yep, Jesse, you're correct. Now that it's one big answer, can we graph it? Yes. And see, look, if you write it underneath, look, the 8 goes straight underneath. And then inequality, the negative 5 goes underneath. Y is right there in the middle, that you just pick a number, negative 6. Sure. Closed or open circles for these ones? Closed. And how should this graph always be? Or look, connected to the squiggly line, right? Should I ever squiggle past my dots? No, not these. You never pass your dots. Does that make sense? Correct. Is that making sense? Okay. Now, the only scary thing is, I'm going to show you the other kind, and then we're going to do both. The only scary thing is, in your homework, they don't do all ands and then all ors. I personally, if I were you, I would do like all of one kind first in your homework. So you might not do your homework problems in order because it's a lot to think back and forth. Okay? So the other type is called or inequalities. This one, your answer can look two different ways. Your answers will go away from each other, so point away from each other. If the picture looks like this, you would just write your two answers. This is less than a number, or this is greater than a number. You would just write both of them. Two lines, two inequalities. Write both your answers you have. So two different lines on your picture, two different inequalities. See how this is completely opposite of what all the ands looked like? The other way this could look is you have two dots. I'm going to change up the way they look, but they both go the same way. So this one goes to the right, and then this one also goes to the right. So it kind of like overlaps the other one. So they're both pointing the same way. If they both point the same way, which is where knowing how to read your inequality signs is very helpful, you only write one line, you would write one inequality. And again, I will show you. We will practice. So r plus 6 is less than negative 8, or, they literally use the word or. R minus 3 is greater than negative 10. So since there's two different problems, are we going to solve them separately? Okay, so do the first one. R plus 6 is less than negative 8. How do I get R by itself? Minus 6 on both sides, because I only have two sides. Derek, what is negative 8 minus 6? Okay. I'm going to bring down my word. Sometimes I capitalize it so I can see it better. Now over here, how do I get R by itself, Jesse? It says R minus 3 is greater than, Add 3. Add 3 to both sides. What are we going to get as an answer? Yep, negative 7. Now, the picture, we're going to do the picture next. All the picture helps us do is figure out what this tells us which ones we can write and actually type into Alex when we type in our answers. Yes, sir. 15 minutes. Technically 16 minutes, but it's probably 15 minutes and some seconds. Sorry, kiddo. When Mr. Maxon goes, it's 15 minutes. So now we're going to graph them. We still have two different numbers, don't we? So you're still going to put the lower number on the left. Which one's the smaller number? Negative 14. It doesn't always happen that it's on the left, so you got to pay attention. Yes. Still one big line. -7 over here, a number in between. So since these are two separate things, draw them separately. Do one at a time. R is less than -14. If you always have your variable on the left, it helps you. Is that an open or closed circle with a -14? Open. Which way is my squiggle line pointing with this guy? The left, so he's going to squiggle this way. Okay. Now let's look at the other one. R is greater than -7. Open or closed circle. Which way is that one going? To the right. So my picture, how many different lines are there? So what would I have to type in on Alex if I had to type in my answer? Since I have two different lines, I'm going to have to type in my two different answers. You have to type in all of this. You have to use the word or and everything. Does that kind of make sense? I'm just going to get another board. Wait, I think I can flip this one. I can. Okay, let's try. Let's keep trying it. These ones always say or. They'll never say anything else. Okay? They'll just always change a variable. A plus 4 is less than 1. Or A minus 1 is greater than or equal to 3. So again, solve one at a time. So basically everything we've done up to this point helps us do this. What are we going to do to get the left one by itself? What is 1 minus 4, CJ? Okay. I'm going to bring down my word or. What do we do to get the right one by itself, Risa? What's my answer going to be? Make our line. Lowest number is what? Greatest number is the 4. What's a number in between? I always like 0 when they're one's negative, one's positive. The -3, is it open or closed? Which way is the arrow going? Left. 4, open or closed? Which way is that arrow going? Right. What would I type into Alex for my answer? Yep, both inequalities, all of it. You can't hear? You're struggling? This one's different. How much try this guy? X, you brought your X back, is less than or equal to 9. That one's already solved for you. Or 2 plus 4x is less than 10. So this left one, is it already solved? That's nice. It happens sometimes. Sometimes they do that to you. Give you a little break. So that one's done. I'm just going to rewrite it so I have it. I'm going to write or. Now this right one, it's a two-stepper. What are we going to do first to get x by itself? Yep, since 2 is positive, since there's nothing in front of it, subtract 2 from both sides of the inequality. So now we have 4x is less than 8. Yep. What do we do to get x? Huh? Divide by 4. Oops. When we divide by 4 on both sides, do we need to flip our sign? Nope, because no negatives. Okay, what's 8 divided by 4? Okay, so I'm just because they're uneven. That's what I have as my answers. So let's make our line to see what our picture is going to look like. Now this one is backwards from us. Which number of our two answers is actually the smaller one? 2. The 2 is going to go on the left. 9's going to go on the right. A number in between. I wrote 5. Close. The 2. Look at the 2 inequality. Open or close circle? Open. Which way is that one wiggling? Left. Okay. The 9. Open or close circle, Connor? Closed. Which way is that one wiggling? To the left also. So what happens here? They connect. So since they connected to make one big line, we're only going to type in one of these answers into Alex when we type our answer in. Where does the line originally start? Starts and goes all the way over. 9. This would be the answer you would type in Alex because it starts all the way over here and passes through the other one. Does that make sense why we picked the 9 inequality? So we drew both, but you see how this wiggle line passed through the other one. That's why we picked that inequality. So the ones I'm circling, those are the ones you would actually type in to Alex. And the best thing about Alex is you just pick the right inequality thing that has, right? It'll have you those 2 blank boxes, and you just have to pick the right inequality that goes with it. And then type in your number. Okay. Yes, I'm going to do one more on this, and then after we come back from our bathroom break, we will do them on the board, okay? So hopefully only one more. Is this dry? I'm going to turn this sideways, Weaver. Okay. How about this? 4k minus 7 is less than or equal to 25. Or, this one has a special thing to it. 12 minus 9k is greater than or equal to 30. So these both have 2 steps. Also, I see a negative k in there, so it's going to change something. Try it out first real quick. Let me get a drink. See what you can do. The second inequality is the tricky one. Both of them are 2 steps, yes. You are correct. I'll start doing the left one. What happens when you divide by a negative? You gotta flip your sign. Who forgot to flip their sign? Did you get those two answers? Check your inequality sign. You still wrote 18? You like forgot to divide both sides? Huh? Yeah. So then when you graph this, -2 is smaller, 8 is bigger, -2, close circle, 8, close circle. Okay, -2 is going this way. 8, is also going this way. So Jesse, which one, since they overlap, which inequality is my answer I would type in online? The 8 one, yep. Good job. I did it wrong. You added 9? Yeah. Oh, man. We're going to practice. Now, the hardest part, and again, is that the homework is not separated. It doesn't do all ands and then all ors. So what I do is I do all of one kind. I think the ands are easier because they all look the same. The graphs are always the same. So I always do all the ands, and out of my book, I write those numbers so they would potentially not be in order. And then I go through and do the ors because the ors can look different based on the inequality signs. So I'm going to